Welcome to Scorched Earth and a general reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant for the month of March. March? What? Where did that come from? June? We're talking about June? Wow. I'm using the wild unknown for you today. And perhaps it might be that things that were going on with you in March, decisions that you made in March, are now starting to see themselves playing out in the month of June. Possibly. I have no idea where that came from at all. March, indeed. What do I have to tell you? At the end of the reading, you can go over to the extended if you're interested. That will be over on Vimeo. There'll be a link down in the description. But you should also be aware that we have Mercury retrograde occurring in Gemini during this time. Like for most of June. I think it starts on the 29th. Which is Sunday, but the shadow period occurs, 2 weeks either side. So from the 29th of May to the 22nd of June with that 2 week shadow period. And if your life's anything like mine at the moment, you might find that energy has been building very strongly over the course of certainly of the last week anyway. So usual rules apply. Try not to buy too much in the way of big ticket items. If you've got contracts that need to be signed, if you can possibly put them off, then do that. If not, then make sure that you're double and triple checking what it is that you are committing yourself to, because it has a habit of coming back on you at a later point if you do not exercise diligence at this point. I'm gonna close the window. Put a bit on there. What else? Travel delays are very common. Technical mishaps. Oh my God, everything's been going wrong this week that's technologically inclined. Even in the supermarket, just the checkout's not working. Things like that. I'd wonder if this technological mishaps, how this kind of expressed itself before we had the level of technology that we had there. With steam technology, fucking up in places. I don't know. Anyway, I was kind of drifting off while I was in the supermarket and having things not working when I was trying to use them. But the biggest thing is, because it's in Gemini, it's about communication mishaps. You may find that it is difficult to articulate exactly what you think or feel about something. And conversely, other people may have the same issues. So don't take anything too personally this month. Approach everyone with compassion, including yourself, and don't attach too much weight to words that people say during this time, because, like I said, it might well be that they're having trouble articulating it. It might be you have trouble too. So, right, with all of that said, let's get on with your reading. I have 3 cards for Virgo, please. There we go. We've got the High Priestess in your recent past. Virgo, please. Ooh, we have the 5 of Swords in reverse. I actually really like that for you, Virgo. And what's coming towards Virgo in June? Good. That one flipped. We have the 4 of Swords. I actually quite like that. I like all of this. We've got the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck here. Followed by the 8 of Swords, followed by the Ace of Wands. There is a newness around you, Virgo, that's absolutely palpable at the moment. And a reinvigoration of what it is to be alive at this moment for the Virgo collective. There's where you have been restricted. Now you are able to move. Now you are able to do things. But let's get some clarifiers here. I just noticed the Ace of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck, so I finished shuffling there. Tell me about the High Priestess, please. Ooh, taking all of those, it's far too many. Tell me about the High Priestess, please. Thank you. We have the 6 of Pentacles and the Queen of Wands. Tell me about the 5 of Swords in reverse, please. Ooh, Wheel of Fortune and the 4 of Pentacles. And 4 of Swords, please. We have the Sun, which is the card of Leo, And we also have the Eight of Cups. I can see where this is going. The Magician was on the top of the deck there, the wrong way around as well. And I think that's quite interesting. Oh, and look, there's the High Priestess again. Oh, followed by Strength and the Fool. Oh, that's just glorious. Look at all that major arcana at the bottom there. So we have the Wheel of Fortune and the High Priestess repeating across here. That's nice. I like that. So the High Priestess is all about inner wisdom, right? And that is something that you have bucket loads of now, Virgo, after the 18-month period that you've just been through. There is an intrinsic wisdom now within you, and it's been very hard won. Wouldn't necessarily want to go back through this situation again to get the knowledge, but now that we are coming out of the other side, it is possible to see what the point of all of this was. And there's, there are notions of intuition also very much guiding your actions at this point. We have the Six of Pentacles and we have the Queen of Wands underneath here, and it's making for a very balanced approach to what comes next. The interesting thing is that although there seems to be a plan here of sorts, it feels like you are being rather guided by your intuition into the direction that you're going. The Wheel of Fortune's here twice, and that does indicate an improvement in your fortune. But there's something a little bit deeper at play here. I know I'm skipping forwards a little bit, but given that the Wheel of Fortune is at the bottom of the deck, we've got these making their presence known. Like, if you've never had a look at this card properly, right, we've got the 4 fixed signs on it there. They've all got books. They're all very much in study. And they're learning. And what you have learned, it seems like, is the thing that is guiding you forwards now. Now, some of you have learned some very, very difficult lessons. And it's not about that per se. It's about you. It's about who you are, who you have learned you are, what it is that you have learned that you are able to deal with and still persevere, still have that will to engage. And so it's then not a coincidence that things are getting better. It's as a consequence of your actions. It's as a consequence of that which you have learned, and it seems to be taking you forwards. The Six of Pentacles, it can be a card of charity, but and reciprocity, but it also speaks of balance. And it speaks of a very balanced approach that you are holding moving forwards. Like this High Priestess is actually, she's both of them here looking at me like that. And underneath this we have Strength and we have the Fool. Now the Strength card is that card of empowerment. It is that card of incredible growth that you have experienced. You've closed out what has been a very, very difficult chapter of your life here. And there's something of trust taking you forwards now. Trust in yourself primarily, but also trust in whatever it is that is guiding you, whether that is for you a sense of your higher self, or whether it is, guardian angels, source, the universe, however you like to refer to these things. But the growth here is absolutely phenomenal. And it's underpinning everything that you do moving forward. Now, if we just return back here, circumstances may not be settled. The environment that you are in may not be settled. It may not be a thing that is, comfortable and without chaos. But your approach to how you deal with this is now balanced. There's an element of chaos in there somewhere, but not in a frightening way, in that uniquely feminine way. Feminine energy is chaos. But there's incredible creativity to be found in that. And it does seem that your perspective is so wise now. You found your internal fundament, you know, it's like you can't really be knocked because you've been through every situation that could possibly have knocked you in this last 18-month period. Now you're finding your center, now you're coming back into balance, and now you are prepared to strike out into the world and start being seen again. Like Virgo has been very much in the cave. What came through in the meditation quite strong, and we'll come back to this because I do feel like it's relevant a bit further on. What came through in the meditation is the notion of the cave. Now, this is not something that's unfamiliar to Virgos, obviously, because the hermit is depicted as being in a cave. And what I felt was that the cave is your sanctuary. It is that place within that you know that you can go. But where you have hidden away in it this last year, it's like what's happened is a change of perspective. So you need to understand that the cave is your sanctuary. You know that when things get a little bit overwhelming, you can retreat to that safety there. But for it not to be the place that you live all of the time. You know, you certainly have lived there over the last 18 months, right? Because we end up with a Plato's cave kind of situation there. And then you're only really seeing the shadows on the wall. You're not engaging with the world as it actually is. Oh, excuse me. That's my knee cracking there. With this Queen of Wands here, it does feel very much like you're coming out into the world. You're coming out to be seen, and there's a new version of you. Highly intuitive, highly sensitive to situations, highly sensitive to people, but also highly sensitive to yourself and your own desire for stability that is internally generated, you know? So when we move into your current energy, we've got the Five of Swords in reverse, and it's interesting how the usual meanings of this card, they're not feeling quite so relevant as usual when I'm talking to you here. You know, we do have this notion of cognitive loops, of thought patterns that are very, you know, difficult to deal with when we have it up in the upright. And so in the reverse, it's kind of identifying those thought patterns which have kept you limited, have kept you restricted, you know, but it feels like it's so much more than that. It's about how your perspective has entirely changed. The way that you think has entirely changed here. And it's all about stabilizing your thinking. You know, we've got a stabilization of your external world here, somewhat indicated by the Six of Pentacles. Not only your own internal stability, but the steps that you take to bring order back into your external environment. You know, maybe you took your eye off the bills, maybe you took your eye off your finances, you know, all of which would be completely understandable with what you've been going through in this last wee while. That's starting to stabilize out now, but your mind is starting to stabilize too. And it's possible that part of this is a rejection of this predisposition that you have towards overthinking things. You know, it's very, very strong, and sometimes you can literally put yourself back in the cave by thinking about situations too much. It seems to have been an adjustment of the organ that you use. Now, it was very difficult for you to lead from the heart for the last year because your heart was so entirely fucking broken, right? And that's completely understandable. And it's not fully healed yet, Virgo. That's an important thing to consider, right? Recovery isn't linear, and so it's not just a nice straight line from broken to fixed up here. It kind of weaves around, and it's up and down. And this process often takes a very long time, and you might find that there's something that just comes out of nowhere that kind of, you know, brings you up short, and you're like, oh, holy shit, I'm feeling that, you know. I had a Virgo personal client who said it felt like the connection between heart and mind had been entirely severed, and it didn't matter how much you tried to, you know, think your heart open, it wasn't really happening. And that was so on point for what Virgos were experiencing last year. But it seems like that connection is there. It is happening again, and your heart is opening in the way that you know, I want to say everybody wanted, you know, but I mean, like, from the outside, certainly, like, I wanted for you, because it was difficult. It was difficult to watch what you were going through and not be able to help more than I could. What was I just going to say there? It just disappeared. But the closing of the heart was a coping mechanism, you know. I've tried to explain it to people before, like, your brain is very good at protecting you, right? But your brain often, or your nervous system at least, doesn't tell the difference between, you know, being in abject mortal peril and being absolutely heartbroken. Like, your nervous system responds in exactly the same way. And so shutting down your heart enables your brain to drip feed to you the things that you need to process. And it feels like that layer is off now. You know, the drip feeding has ceased, and it is now about being there, right? It is there. It doesn't feel to me like it's completely healed. It doesn't actually feel like it's anywhere near completely healed, but at least the process of opening is underway. And we have the Wheel of Fortune here. And this feeling of resilience that I have in your energy at the moment is coming through really, really strong. Like, things are improving. And it's almost like the more you engage with the world around you, the more things are improving. And it could well be for you at this moment that it feels a little bit every now and again like it's going just a little bit too fast, like it's a little bit too intensely new, and there are lots of things to be excited about, and it's like there's almost kind of like digging your feet in a little bit. Whoa, slow down. Yeah. 10 of Swords and 10 of Pentacles. There is completion here. There is ending here. Right, the tens in the tarot will talk about completion. They talk about the end of a cycle. They talk about, you know, very difficult things coming to an end, and a certain amount of material improvement is also indicated here. But I'm feeling a sense of resistance, and it is very low key. It's very low-key resistance, and you might have to really sit with yourself for a little bit before you identify it properly, or acknowledge it and see that it's there. But yeah, like I said, this kind of feet in the dirt, just trying to slow things down just a little bit. The thing is, the wheel is turning here for you, Virgo, and I don't think there's much that's going to be able to hold it back. Now, when I'm clarifying this Four of Pentacles, what I've got is the Nine of Wands and the Four of Wands. And if that's not speaking to exactly what I was talking about there, we've got the Five of Wands at the bottom of the deck. There is conflict, and for you it does feel like internal conflict, Virgo. But we have the Nine of Wands and we have the Four of Wands. Like, this is a card that absolutely speaks to me about resilience. And I knew it was going to come out in the reading because I kept seeing it every time I blinked after I came out of the meditation. This is why I've been banging on about it. I mean, it does mean boundaries as well, but resilience is the thing that was coming through, like the ability to pick yourself up, and even though you be wounded, even though your arm is in a sling and your head is bandaged and you are literally hanging off a wand there, still you are, still you be. And we've got the Four of Wands, the creation of a new foundation. And rather than being a negative thing here, this Four of Pentacles seems to be saying to me that at those points where everything feels like it's going just a little bit too fast, where it feels like it's it's dragging you inexorably away from something that was very important to you. Oh. And therefore, there is this kind of potential feeling, low-key feeling of disloyalty, right? If that's popping up with you at this point, and I kind of feel for quite a lot of you it is, because this is the source of the conflict for you. It's like, I want the new things, I want to re-engage with life again, I want to come back online, you know, I want to sort everything out, I want to live to some degree better than I did before. Be aware that there is this niggle here, there is this little bit of resistance that's saying, I'm being dragged away, I'm being pulled further away from something that is very important to me, and if I am not living that loss, living that grief every moment of every day, am I in some way being disloyal? Am I somehow getting over it too easily? Is it undermining how important this was if I continue onwards? And the simple answer is no, it's not, Virgo. But be aware of it being in your mind a moment, particularly given because we are in retrograde season, and so it's all about kind of going over old things, old communications, old relationships, old everything. But if you can do that from a perspective of compassionate detachment, like, you are not your story, Virgo. You know, you are not defined by the things that have happened to you. And I think that this is really difficult sometimes for people to get their minds around. Like, I think that you are there. I think that you do understand that you are not your story. I think that you do understand that you are not the things that have happened to you. But they are defining events. They do define the way that you see yourself. Now, you are very much underway on a new cycle here, but just be aware of the old things that might be jumping up every now and again, just to kind of like nibble at your ankles, because they're not there to hold you back. They're there to ask you to really engage with them. They're there to ask you, they're showing you that they're here and the things that need dealing with. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to set aside, you know, just a couple of minutes to consider whether objectively that feeling that you have is realistic. To consider how much you are judging yourself subconsciously about moving forwards, you know, in the act of doing it at the time. It's a form of self-sabotage, and it's something that you have to be on high alert for, Virgo, particularly after what you have experienced in the last 18 months. There's an awful lot in there that is probably a lifetime's worth of grief and loss that you've experienced in this last year, and that doesn't just go away. But maybe to a degree this is what's being drip fed to you. And so when these things come up, rather than overthinking, you know, all that, just set aside a couple of minutes and just go, okay, right, realistically, is this, am I being disloyal? Would I ever judge anybody else for picking themselves up after what, you know, you have experienced, and finding it within themselves to start walking forwards again? Or would I be filled with absolute, you know, respect for the strength of the person there? It's kind of like the energy that you're in at the moment. It's about being reflective, but it's also about learning to see yourself in a particular way, right? Releasing judgment on yourself, but seeing yourself as you actually are. This is really, really important. And it segues neatly onto what's coming towards you in June, because we have this Four of Swords. Now, I like this for you because this is peace, this is restoration, this is healing. Certainly got a lot of that coming towards you in June. And I do feel like it's actually as a result of what is going on around you, whilst also being in that reflective state about what's going on inside of you, right? The cave is easily accessible for you, Virgo, but remember to come back out again, right? That's the important thing. It's like nip in, check in with yourself, process a couple of things, and then come back out again, right? Because the temptation would be in there to stay in there. It's clarified by the Sun and the Eight of Cups. And it's interesting that it's come out this way around, because that's what leads me to feel like it is external circumstances that are kind of helping you push forwards with this healing process over the course of June. The Sun is the most positive card in the deck. It is the card of Leo. It may be that you're dealing with a Leo, it may not, but I noticed that there is a lot of fire here for you. You know, we have the Nine of Wands, we have the Four of Wands, we have the Ace of Wands, we have the Sun. But even the Wheel of Fortune has Leo depicted on it too. You know, this is all about living. These are lessons in the act of living. Possibly living reflectively, but choosing to live, choosing to engage with things, you know. But there is that positivity, there it is surrounding you. And then we have this Eight of Cups here. We have leaving behind of emotions that are not serving you moving forwards. Now, a lot of tarot readers will say, so you leaving situations that no longer serve you. And maybe some of you are, you know, choosing to relocate, using this small window of opportunity that you have to go in a direction, you know, whatever. But as I've said a number of times, you can leave a situation behind physically and take every single one of the difficult things that you experience there with you. You know, carry it around, or just drag it in a big sack behind you. This is something above that. What we're talking about here is you actually looking at those emotions and going, these ones have served their purpose now. I can't keep dragging these ones around, you know, and the way that the cups are stacked, it's always drawing your eye to the fact that there is one missing there. There's an Ace of Cups that needs to go in there in order to create a Nine of Cups. And the Nine of Cups is your emotional fulfillment, right? It's your emotional well-being. Now, it looks to me like whatever is going on around you at the moment is so resoundingly positive in the month of June that it really does put you in that state where you can, you know. The other thing that came through in the meditation was gratitude. There was so much gratitude, just kind of floating around, and it was interesting. The more I sat with that word, because that was the word that came through, gratitude, the more I sat with that conceptually, the more that I realized that I really do associate Virgo specifically with a state of gratitude. Like it's a very high evolution of Virgo. Consider that low vibrational Virgoan energy is given to be highly critical, like excessively critical, not just of other people, but also of themselves. And what changes there, what flips when you start moving up to this higher level of insight, higher level of understanding about yourself and the world and your place within it and all that kind of thing, is gratitude, right? It's not about criticism, it's about gratitude now. And as things are going so well around you, it is very difficult for you as a Virgo to experience anything other than extreme gratitude for what is occurring now. You know, it's at such odds to where you were this time last year that I think that helps enormously with the process of healing, of releasing certain things about yourself. Like, it feels like it's a really deep month for you, Virgo, one that's filled with moments of real joy, and like I said, this real intense feeling of gratitude, but also this unwitting kind of waking up of other shadowy things that kind of come to the surface. And the key for this month for you is to not turn away from those, but also not to over engage with them either. Recognize it for what it is, which is a form of self-sabotage, and thank those feelings for coming up, and then explain to yourself, you don't have to do it aloud obviously, how it's okay, how you've got this, and you understand what your subconscious is trying to tell you, but it's okay now. Observation is processing, and it feels like there's a lot of that going on for you this month. Got the Lovers card, which is the card of Gemini, and the Two of Cups, and the Strength card. It's beautiful. The Wheel of Fortune is at the bottom of this deck now. That is 3 for 3. 3 decks. 3 Wheel of Fortunes. Fact is, Virgo, things are getting better. Shit is just improving, and the wheel is turning whether you like it or not. So you can engage with that at the highest possible level and allow the change to occur. Embrace it and be part of it, or it's going to take you with it anyway, right? But eventually, somewhere down the line, the self-sabotage will get the better of you, and it'll stick a tire iron in that wheel. And we've got the Lovers, we've got the Two of Cups, and we've got the Strength card. It could well be that in the month of June that there are some really special people around you, and you may, they may be old friends, or they may be new. If they're old friends, then it feels like the connection between you is deepening to a level that you didn't realize was possible. There's great joy, there's great comfort to be found in these friendships, and that's quite important for you, because last year you were not open to that. You couldn't be open to that. It feels like now you are. If these are new people coming in, then they do feel like they've been guided to you, and you are able to receive them. You are open to them arriving. But there's even more growth for you here this month, Virgo, and it doesn't have to be uncomfortable. Like, we have to, kind of roll our eyes and go, oh, another opportunity for growth, that's fucking magnificent. It doesn't actually feel like that energy to me this month, Virgo. It feels like a steady climb for you, and one where intimacy and vulnerability with other people really plays a part, if nothing more than to keep this process of growth going and to see how very strong you are. Like I said, I feel like the way that you see yourself will be very important this month, and open to change, really open to change. Wow. Okay, so this is what I have for you, Virgo. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to go over to Vimeo. If this has resonated with you, feel free to come and join me over there. I'm going to pull this apart a little bit more, specifically kind of focusing on the month of June. So yeah, if you would like to come and join me for that, the link is in the description box. If not to worry at all. I shall be back on Monday for the weekly read. Really good month for you, Virgo. I like this. So know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.